now with Jade's backstory. What I'm thinking of is like possibly like another apprentice to Palpatine as well. That maybe she's like one of those overzealous, didn't quite get the memo that you're supposed to be angry, but not that kind of angry and that kind of bitterness.
Palpatine's like, geez, Mara, lighten up.
you gotta have hate, but you gotta have fun with it too.
Yeah. You gotta throw a catchphrase out there every so often.
Try this one. Unlimited power.
All right. Hello there. You found the Lost Holocron, an ancient artifact of lore and legends from a galaxy far, far away. Each transmission of the Lost Holocron, you will join an episodic discussion of media from the Star Wars universe. We will be your guides. Tim.
Hi.
Kyle.
Salve.
Scott. Who is me. And Stuart.
G'day.
We will be covering the material up to and including Chapter 19 of Heir to the Empire. So, Stuart, what happened so far?
Okay, so Luke Skywalker and Leia Organa Solo are evading Imperial capture as, unknown to them, Grand Admiral Thrawn has promised them to dark Jedi clone Joruus C'Baoth in exchange for his allegiance. While Leia and Chewbacca have gone to Kashyyyk, Han Solo and Lando Calrissian are broadcasting decoy messages using C-3PO as a voice mimic. They are also trying to contact smuggling lord Talon Karrde in the hopes to extend legitimate business relationships from the New Republic. Luke is ambushed following the call of a mysterious Jedi Master to Jomark by Thrawn. In the escape, his X-Wing fails, leaving him stranded in deep space. While R2-D2 completes repairs on the subspace radio, Luke is hailed by the Wild Karrde. Luke is offered passage by Karrde, however is caught off guard and is knocked unconscious, falling into Karrde's capture. And Kyle, what happened this time?
Luke awakens in some kind of barrack dorm on an unfamiliar forest world. He attempts to use his Jedi powers to refresh himself and takes in his surroundings. His attempts are apparently unsuccessful, and he is startled by the presence of Mara Jade, whom he could not sense in the Force. In fact, he can sense nothing at all, and his lightsaber hangs from her hip. She takes him from his holdings across the Forest-side compound to have another conversation with Karrde about politics, intrigue, and his predicament. Luke learns of the Arsamari, and a little of the circumstances of how he came to be, in no small measure due to Jade's influence, in the possession of Karrde's group. This interaction does not end with Luke unconscious. He is instead marched icily back to his accommodations by Jade. Is she commonly referred to by her last name, or?
I don't know, that's just how I've been conventioning. Most people are mentioned by their last names, but except for, like, the trio that we're more familiar with, I'll end up calling them Luke and Han and Leia.
I'm going to call her MJ.
Just making sure that Mara is not a title.
The Mara.
You are on this council, but we do not grant you the rank of Mara. What if that's like the Smuggler's Council thing?
Uh-huh.
Right.
Man, I could not stand Mara Jade in this chapter. She was so icy, so bitter, absolutely no communication of why she's mad, just pissed the entire time.
That's what I call plot blocking. Can we have conflict? No, because one character just refuses to do anything. He opens his mouth and he just snaps at him. Just snaps at him.
Shut up. I don't want to hear from you.
Yeah. I was kind of excited at first, though, because I was like, oh, can she like dampen force abilities? That's really cool. And then I was like, oh, wait, space lizards. It's something lamer.
We'll get back to those lizards in a second, but I did for a second. She did make a comment where she's like, not so impressive with those powers, aren't you? And I was like, oh, is he jealous of his Jedi powers? But then I remembered I got spoiled that. So it's weird that she's like, you're not so special now, are you? It's just like,
right.
Yeah.
Is this the conversation that we want to be? Have we already spoiled it for our listeners?
See, Scott told me. Scott mentioned it during one of the previous episodes.
I told everybody a bunch of things.
Scott's the Tom Holland of the group.
I will instead talk about, I thought this planet, there was like, oh, you can go to this planet and you can go to the right area and find a Yassalamari. But no, they're everywhere. Like, Luke looked out the window and saw 3 of them.
Right.
Yeah.
This is an invasive species, apparently.
Not localized to any particular area, just this planet in particular.
Yeah.
They're like rats.
Mara Jade even said, like, good luck if you get outside. They're everywhere.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, Karrde even kind of tells them that.
Wait, how do you say it? The Vonskas?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
things.
those Vonskas are everywhere. So you're blinded by lizards, and then giant cats come to eat you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I like how he was like, and the ones out there are less domesticated than the ones that, that he's got, or I forgot exactly how he said it, but I liked the way he said it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't have the benefit of modern domestication.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah, he's like, oh, these ones are more domesticated. How long have they had them for? I thought they just got these guys.
The Vonskas, the two pets he's got?
Yeah.
No, he's had them since the beginning of the book.
Right.
Yeah.
So
How long have I confused about when the beginning of the book was?
well, it seems like they've been his pets forever.
Right.
But, I mean,
Oh.
I feel like it's one of those instances of
one
like he went out there, got some like puppies, and
Oh,
brought them
okay.
home, and he's raised them with quote unquote modern domestication techniques, which
Right.
These things have to be genetically predisposed to like imprinting on him or something like that in order for this to
Is
actually
this
work.
Twilight?
No.
We're gonna start
Not
out.
like Twilight. No, it's just
No, I mean like ducks.
it's where Twilight got it from.
So that they follow him as like the cub leader or something like that.
Nice.
But yeah, it's only like there's very specific animals that you can domesticate because they have to have some sort of predisposition to that kind of thing, which is why we don't ride zebras, we ride horses.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I would love to ride a zebra though. That'd be so stylish.
Uh-huh. we can paint you a horse if you want to.
It's not the same.
My sister's got 2. We can paint one of those.
It's not the same.
You'll know in your heart of hearts that it's not really a zebra.
Right.
This entire compound seems really nice.
Oh yeah,
I want to go there.
I would love to live here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Seems pretty.
Although it does give me a little bit cult vibes because we talked about C'Baoth being a cult leader. I think I might be primed to see this as like a kind of cult type area. And if you had the choice between C'Baoth's cult and Talon Karrde's cult, which one would you join?
A Talon Karrde.
Talon Karrde.
Easy.
Easy.
Yeah, no.
I feel like I
Yeah,
won't
it
have
seems really nice.
Yeah, he's not like sadistic with his force lightning and
He's more like an overbearing boss, while C'Baoth's going to strip you of your identity and possessions.
And then electrocute you.
Yeah.
turn you into a candle.
Oof.
Yeah. At least with Karrde, you can like achieve something. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You can climb up the ranks. Yeah, you can climb the corporate ladder.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed how he brought up the conversation circles a lot, and it's clearly this guy clearly grew up in houses that had conversation pits, and I really enjoyed that. We should be in that conversation pits.
We should. They're very stylish and comfy.
I like those in like traditional Japanese izakaya. They've got these kind of like sunken pits that you sit in for your foods. Like, yeah, I think those things are really really cool.
It's great.
I like the style.
Awesome.
Going back to Mara Jade for a bit. So in the description, when Luke finally sees her and when he wakes up, he says, or the description that we get of her is like vaguely familiar, sitting in a high-backed chair, and she's always been compared to Palpatine up until now. That makes me think like, oh, what if she was Palpatine's daughter or granddaughter, or however many generations removed?
She's very Skywalker.
What if Palpatine had a clone who had a daughter, and this is her?
That's like
That sounds a little bit too ridiculous for a book. Let's make it into a movie instead.
right.
Yeah.
I'm reaching here. This might be a too far out there plot.
Yeah. Let's make her a nobody instead. That sounds much better.
Can you imagine if that's where they got it from? It was just in one of the old books, and they
I mean, they've recycled a bunch of stuff already.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
we forgot about Legends, just like Disney did.
Well, so you think that this could be true, that she is some sort of emperor's descendant?
No, because I think I might have missed the one where she's compared to the Emperor. Maybe I was busy at that time. But she seems like she just is always pissed. And I believe he said that her blaster looked menacing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I do want to see what that looks like.
Yeah, I want to see that blaster design.
Mm-hmm.
Although the forearm holster seems really uncomfortable to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't
It'd
know.
have to be a pretty small blaster.
Yeah.
Right, like a holdout blaster or something. Yeah.
Okay, so in the previous chapter, I brought up the fact that when Luke turns his force sensors towards the cockpit, that her bitter hate was compared to that of the Emperor rather than Vader.
Okay.
Right? And then in this chapter, it says that, she was sitting in a high back chair, her arms draped loosely over the arms in a posture that seemed strangely familiar. And so that image really tells me Palpatine in Return of the Jedi.
She's like a lame version. Because Palpatine is angry all the time, but he's fun about it.
Yeah.
he has a sense of humor. I once watched Sam Witwer do a live stream on Twitch playthrough of Force Unleashed. He did it with the guy who voiced Proxy as well. And that guy was also the sound designer for the game, interestingly enough. But Sam also played Palpatine in that game. He did the voice for him, and he's done it in other stuff. And he said one thing he noticed about Palpatine that he feels like a lot of others don't do is that Palpatine has a sense of humor. And he's kind of cacklingly evil.
Yeah.
Like in Return of the Jedi, where he's like, "Oh, I'm afraid your friends won't make it out alive," or something like that.
Yeah.
He's taunting him. He's all pity about it.
Really having fun with that.
Yeah.
That role.
Yeah. So Mara Jade is angry but no sense of humor.
Yeah.
She is a -10 on the charisma.
Yeah. Right.
So what I'm thinking of is if she is a nobody, that for some reason she's possibly another apprentice to Palpatine as well, that maybe she is one of those overzealous, didn't quite get the memo that you're supposed to be angry, but not that kind of angry and that kind of bitterness.
Palpatine's like, "Geez, Mara, lighten up."
you gotta have hate, but you gotta have fun with it too. Otherwise, it's just gonna eat you alive.
You're right.
You gotta throw a catchphrase out there every so often.
Try this one: unlimited power.
So that's where my mind's at now with Jade's backstory.
Because this is before Rule of Two was a thing.
Oh,
Is
yeah,
it?
yeah.
Yeah, canonically.
Oh.
I mean, metatextually, before someone was like, "Oh, the Rule of Two is a thing,"
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because that was made explicit by the Phantom Menace.
Yeah,
right?
I think that's the first mention I can recall.
Okay.
And then beyond that, they would have
Always
made it.
two there are. Yeah.
Yeah. So I could imagine that she was some sort of secret Sith or secret apprentice or secret something. Like with the Inquisitors, she could be whatever version of the Inquisitor that this had in mind.
Yeah. Like a predecessor to the Inquisitor of some type, like an assassin or something.
Yeah.
I think I'll be bummed out if it's like Palpatine's clone daughter, whatever.
Well, we already know how that feels, so of course we are.
The one thing I am sick of in Star Wars is everything leading back to Palpatine. It is,
Yeah.
like it will take you a minute, but it goes right back to Palpatine.
It typically does, yeah.
Which goes to show you just how good of a villain Palpatine is.
Yeah.
Right. She's his father's brother's nephew's cousin's former roommate.
Actually, this is a question. Do they ever mention what Palpatine looks like before the prequel?
Oh,
Not that I can recall.
in this book,
Because he was just kind of like a vague, like shadowy, cloaked figure for the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like an old wrinkly dude. I can't recall. Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think anyone bothered to do it until Phantom Menace, honestly.
Yeah. Okay, and we're still talking about Mara. Do you think that Luke was trying to impress her with his like, "Don't let me guess, you're Mara Jade," and she was like, "Karrde already told me that. She mentioned this thing. You're not that funny. You're not that clever. Just shut up and walk with me."
I didn't get that impression from him. I thought he was just like, oh, I guess you're Mara Jade, but
He's turning on that farm boy charm. Hey, Mara, want to take a ride in my tractor?
My T-16, you want to blast some womp rats? You want to go to Tachi Station?
You can get a hell of an education down there.
Oh yeah, I live with my aunt and uncle.
Used to. But I like that even despite all of this, like all the barriers that she's got up, that Luke's emotional intelligence seems to be like through the roof. Like he just is able to read quite a lot of her, and the fact that like in all that anger, he sees that she's got some sort of like emotional pain that it's trying to cover or something.
Luke is pretty good when he gets out of his own head.
Right. And I mean, it comes back to what we said right at the very beginning of the book. Tim, you mentioned like what people get wrong about Luke is that he's kind of like a bit uncentered almost.
Yeah.
And I said that he makes a lot of emotional decisions, and as we said in like the previous year, their intelligence is not very high, but their emotional intelligence seems to be, really where it's at.
Yeah, no, I've never really like vibed that much with what Luke became in the EU, where he's kind of like Jesus, basically. Just like super perfect and kind and always forgiving of everyone. That never really felt like Luke to me, even after Vader, because I mean, I look at that and I'm like, Vader's his dad. Of course he's gonna go to bat for him,
Yeah.
So how does he describe Mara Jade's blaster again? Like,
it was like small and super menacing.
Yeah, there was a few different descriptions that was talking about how it was tiny or small or compact, and then
I was thinking of like
really scary.
I was thinking of like the DL-21, where it has like those really ugly little fins on the muzzle. I was thinking that, but no, it's a little different. It's got like those little fins on the front.
Han's one?
The muzzle, the flash hider's supposed to have.
Interesting.
Like Han's is nice and round and it looks good.
Yeah.
Seems a bit too big, but
yeah, that looks a little difficult to put in a wrist holster.
But maybe it has a similar muzzle.
Yeah, maybe. Whatever it is, it's ugly and menacing looking.
I mean, I don't know how you make a blaster more menacing.
Yeah, because it's like you can smack somebody with it and cut their face.
Oh, yeah, a little bit sharp or jagged, or
right.
It's a gun knife.
It looks like the end of like a lawn dart or something, like the fin end of it.
Oof.
The back end.
So when you're out of ammo, you can just throw it.
Yeah, you like pull the muzzle off and just throw it.
Yeah.
Anything about We're ready to move on from Jade now.
Yeah, I want to see more from her, and
Yeah.
I mean, like, her actually participating in storytelling.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Less of that plot blocking.
yeah, you can only sustain that anger for so long and make it still interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, to be fair, this is like this third chapter that she's actually made an appearance in that wasn't just a voice.
Fourth, maybe.
Fourth, yeah. So she's had 4 appearances, and
4 appearances of nothing.
we want a little bit more, a little bit like not
Yeah,
cracking,
I mean, the source
but,
of her anger is here. She should be doing something.
Yeah.
Like expressing something about it, but she's still not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, she did say she wanted to blast him in the face, so.
So blast him in the face. Do something, you know.
Hopefully she'll calm down. We'll get some story out of her soon.
Yeah, hopefully.
Maybe.
She's spreading her anger onto me. I'm so angry that she is angry.
We're angry that we don't know why she's angry.
Yeah.
Oh. I was trying to find what Palpatine was supposed to look like in Legends. But apparently they wanted him to look like Nixon.
They wanted who to look like Nixon?
Palpatine to look like Richard Nixon.
Okay.
That totally tracks. That completely tracks. Because we've talked before about how the Vietnam War was an inspiration for like Rebels versus Empire
Right.
in Star Wars. So of course Palpatine is Nixon.
Oh yeah, with comments like unlimited power and I'm not a crook. But,
Right.
Yeah.
Classic line.
Yeah, that's a 1-to-1
Yeah.
correlation right there.
Yeah. Death Star Gate.
Uh-huh.
I love democracy.
Oh, I could totally see Nixon saying that.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I feel like everything in this chapter was between Luke and Karrde was very casual while threatening.
Yeah, it did toe that line pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
What did you like about it, Kyle? Was there a particular moment that you felt making that stand out?
Just the entire conversation. They're like, "We're gonna kill you, or we're gonna let you go. We're not really sure." And he's just like, "What if you let me go? I don't know. Maybe you could. We could just forget this all happened." He's like, "I don't know. Maybe."
Yeah, he does seem very casual about whatever option it ends up being. He doesn't seem particularly invested in, like, oh yeah, it's going to make complications for business, but yeah, I would like to be in the good graces of the government that ends up being in power in the end, but I don't want to get an orbital bombardment between now and 20 years from now.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
He's really just playing both sides, but he doesn't know which side's winning.
Yeah.
well, that's the problem, is that the side that's winning, the side that's going to punch him in the face right now is not the side that's going to help him in 10 years, 20 years.
I came to really like his character in this chapter.
Me too.
Yeah.
I like that he was very hospitable, but he was very like, you are our prisoner.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. He's controlling outcomes,
Mm-hmm.
basically. And while you are in his grasp, he doesn't really care what you do.
Yeah.
Just as long as he has you.
Mm-hmm.
When he was first introduced, we asked, on a scale of Lando to Han, which one is he? And like, he's definitely Lando.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no. I feel like anyone who's closer to the Han scale would not be like a very successful businessman.
No.
Yeah.
Right.
Just a good survivor.
Yeah. I wonder what would happen if him and Lando actually meet up at all. I think I'd like to see that interaction. That would be pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Who's going to outcharm?
Who's going to outcharm?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who is the better
it's
host?
Lando. It's
You can
Lando. We know it. It's Lando. But yeah.
You could see them passively aggressively trying to out-host each other with like, oh, would you like a martini? Oh, I've got this in my minibar over here. Oh, well, mine's built into the floor.
I've got this piping hot chocolate here for you.
Well, mine has cool 45.
Can I offer you a lizard?
Can I read the description of his great room? It sounds amazing.
Please.
The room was large and spacious, its high ceiling translucent and crisscrossed by a webwork of carved rafters. The walls were composed of a dark brown wood, much of it elaborately open mesh carved, with a deep blue light glowing through the interstices. Other luxuries were scattered sparingly about. A small sculpture here, an unrecognizable alien artifact there. Chairs, couches, and large cushions were arranged in well-separated conversation circles, giving a distinctly relaxed, almost informal air to the space. But all of that was secondary, taken in peripherally, or at a later time entirely. For that first astonishing moment, Luke's full attention was fixed solidly on the tree growing through the center of the room. Like, how awesome does that sound?
Beautiful.
Yeah.
If he wasn't a smuggler, he'd be an interior decorator.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
It sounds incredible. And I love how it's like words like sparingly being used about where things are placed. It's like,
Yeah.
God,
It doesn't
it's
feel like
beautiful.
it's quite jammed or...
This was probably the first time I wish this had been made into a movie, to be honest, just so I could see that room.
Oh, we should jump
really
ahead
wish-
on that Darth Andrus. What was it? Darth
The
who?
fan film. Yeah.
The fan film? Yeah, we should
Yeah.
jump forward and see like if they actually did any renderings with that.
I like how he made a comment about the tree, and he said something like in like the legends that he had heard, like people with trees in the rooms are usually like evil or something like that. I forgot exactly how he said it, but
Oh, yeah, about the Tatooine horror tales or whatever. The horror
I was
stories.
kind of like,
Well,
Luke
yeah.
knows what a tree is.
right, right. I mean, I guess he'd seen pictures of him, like in his horror books as a kid.
in his Tashi Station education.
Yeah,
He's traveled the galaxy quite a lot by now, because this is, what, 5
by
years
now, yes, but
after, 4 years after, so 9 years after he's actually left Tatooine. So, I mean, he was on, what was it, Yavin? It was just forests everywhere. I'm pretty sure that when he first was there, he was just walking around, like the first time that I went to America and walked through a supermarket. Like, supermarkets in America are absolutely enormous. And I can imagine Luke having the same feeling of like going out into a forest and be like, oh my God, look at all these trees. There's so much nature everywhere.
I remember I took you to a local store and you looked overwhelmed.
Yeah. I think in Australia, I recently visited Australia compared to Japan. Like, Australia's pretty big. It's very spacious. There's a lot of choice in my local supermarket here. Like, there's not a lot of choice. You got your essentials, and then like some bonus, kind of what they call in Japanese is plus alpha. But like, it's not like lavish. Like in America, you get a whole aisle that is like 50 meters long of just bread, and like in Australia, you get maybe 10 meters of bread.
Yeah, we got a lot of bread.
You got a lot of bread.
Yeah.
Now, Stuart, as an American, what is a meter?
It's 3.3 feet.
Roughly.
Thank you for the fact. I was joking.
we'll use anything to measure except for the metric system. You know, it's 4 lizards or whatever.
It's an eighth of a football field.
Yeah. So I found this chapter in that fan film, and they did
I'm
their
already
best.
watching it.
They did their best. To be fair, it seems like it was made how many years ago?
10 months.
10 months ago.
That's all? I thought it was a lot older than that.
I mean, I don't blame them though. That this room sounds like it would take a lot of like resources and design,
Yeah.
and especially if it's like a one-man operation. I don't know how many are on the team, but I mean,
Actually, in the renderings, it's all stone textures, whereas the book it's wooden stuff. So
yeah.
I guess stone's a lot easier to do. I mean, this place still looks really nice. A little bit uncomfortable to sit for long periods of time, but
Yeah.
I'd still like to be there.
That's another thing I was going to mention. Did he say he was out for 2 weeks?
Oh, we don't know.
I don't think it was confirmed how long. He was like maybe
He
a
said
couple
that
days.
he said he could tell how long he was passed out by how dry his mouth was, and it was
Oh.
either 2 days, 2 weeks, and that means somebody was feeding him.
I think he said it was a couple days. He could tell us in a few days.
Yeah, he said it was a couple days.
Okay.
I think at the end of the chapter as well, he says that you've been living in that flight suit for a week.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
So,
Gross.
Oh,
which, if we go back, Luke, when he wakes up, he's smug and he's like, "I bet he's not expecting me to wake up so soon." But it's been a
Right.
whole week.
He's so smug and he's just
and then that reminds me of like, I didn't pick it up on my first reading, but the second reading, it said that he tried for a bit to clear the toxins from his thing, and nothing seemed to happen. And then he fell asleep. Like somewhere in there, he fell asleep.
That's how
I like that too. Yeah.
That's how the average human does it.
Yeah, the first time I was like, okay, well, it's just taking some time. It's just the way that the Jedi techniques work. But then I realized that it was trying to tell us that none of his Force abilities were working. And so when I read that the second time, I was like, oh, Luke's a little bit inattentive and unaware or something.
Yeah, it seems like he's a little cocky. He's like, oh yeah, I'm waking up faster because I'm a Jedi. And then he gets spooked by some woman who's right next to him. He doesn't even know.
It was nice to see that cocky Luke again for a bit. Yeah, it was really nice.
Which I did mention before, like, is Luke actually an inattentive person?
I could totally see him with ADHD.
Oh yeah, me too.
Yeah, he like screams it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he learns how to be a Jedi so fast because he's ultra attentive, which is his high.
No, he doesn't. He couldn't even do like 2 weeks of training with Yoda.
Well, no, but afterwards, he becomes some powerful.
Right, his hyper focus kicked in
Yeah,
after.
his hyper focus kicked in. Right.
Yeah. Maybe he found some space Adderall.
Yeah. Maybe he found a different space lizard to make him hyper attentive.
is this where all those space ADHD medications are going? Is that why there's a shortage?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, space Adderall. Yeah.
So yes, ADHD Luke.
ADHD Luke.
Hyper focused.
Which reminds me of like when he came in, and like the only thing that he noticed was the tree out of like all this gorgeous room that he's just focused on the tree. That one of the things that I learned when I became a teacher, working with kids, is that you have to learn not to focus on the thing that's happening in that moment, because that's when kids disappear or
Take advantage of you.
fall off stuff or something. So you can't be distracted by the loud kid that's like running around in front of you. You have to be able to like tune that out and look at everything around. And I feel like that's one part of Luke's like military or Jedi training that like just didn't stick, was that yes, there's big explosions happening over there, but like you've also got a TIE fighter on your tail that you have to kind of like tune into and don't be taken in by this big tree in front of you, even though you're from a desert planet, because like you don't know who's going to kill you in this room. And we're pretty sure that both of these Vonskas are looking at you like a piece of meat.
Right.
Not to mention he missed the Asalamiri.
Yeah.
It's a pretty big
Didn't even
miss.
notice that.
Yeah.
Well, he's basically, cut off from the Force right now, so
It's like me off my ADHD meds because of the shortage.
yeah. Normally he'd probably be using the Force to like, basically it'd be like Force Adderall. Now he's just like, whoa, what's that shiny object? Ooh, what's that thing? What's that thing?
Yeah.
That reminds me when Mara Jade says that the Yao Salamiri are the reason why he doesn't have the Force power. He's like, I don't believe you. He's like, something else, and you're lying about the space lizards.
He's like, well, Obi-Wan and Yoda never told me about those, so that they must not be real.
I mean, to be fair though, if you're told the Force is like connected through everything or connects you to everything, then like the thought of something that's not sounds pretty wild
Yeah.
and ridiculous, and it's why I don't like them. But hey, that's another conversation.
Yeah.
I would actually like to get back to that conversation at some point, because I do feel like more stuff in the Star Wars universe should be Force sensitive, because like just imagine, of all the variety of creatures on Earth, that not all of them are photoreceptive, not all of them are like audioceptive, not all of them like we don't even have a sense of like electromagnetic fields, which is common in fish and insects as well.
Right.
That like birds sense the polarity of the Earth as well, and use that to navigate. So there is like there's information out there that once you start tapping into it, it's a way to navigate the world. And so I feel like actually there should be, I mean, the force bubble thing, okay, right, but what the Vornskas are of using the force to find their prey, just like Luke is using it as a crutch to like feel his surroundings. That like in nature that should come up a lot more often. I feel.
I agree.
Yeah. But yeah, I can see how the force bubble lizard is like a step too far.
It feels very anti-Star Wars to me.
Especially for a life form that should be a part or contributing to the Force, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, if you kill a calamari, does the Force notice it?
There you go. There's oh wait, what do they call those things? So the Buddhist the Buddhist ponderings.
You're right.
I guess in that case, very lucky that the humanoid species have the most control over the Force. You can imagine if there's just like a buffalo out there that's just hucking rocks, just absolutely throwing rocks at all enemies.
Oh my god, that is so scary.
Or if it's not a buffalo, but something like really small, like a mouse or a praying mantis or something, because size just can't. It's all about mine.
Oh my god.
Nerves have the power to convince you that you don't want to eat them.
They taste really bad. Well, some animals do that with like bright colors and stuff too. But
Yeah.
No. Maybe that force aptitude was an evolutionary advantage.
I'm thinking it probably was at some point, but it just seems weird.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Thumbs down on the Salamiri for me.
I mean, I like that they're lizards, but I just don't like what they do.
Yeah.
I'm still lukewarm on them, but yeah, it's not like. I mean, we need MacGuffins for our story, so
Right.
it is acceptable.
It's a very good MacGuffin. I like the role that it plays in the plot, but it's just, I don't know.
I do like seeing Luke stripped down like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No lightsaber, no force.
Yeah. It's a very good lesson to learn.
He seems very like crippled or neutered almost. He's like, oh, now what do I do?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
It's like he never learned like hand-to-hand combat or I mean, he's a good pilot.
He had to have. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like he seems like he would have learned how to do a lot of conventional, like how to fix things and how to, he should have learned how to like MacGyver a lot of different things, right?
Yeah. But at the same time, like it's also like 2 or 3 years between A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back.
That's true.
And he was mainly like with the rebellion that time. And as we can see in Empire Strikes Back, like his force abilities aren't that great.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Not by that point, but
so he has plenty of skills in other areas from his time with the rebellion.
yeah.
So yeah, but it's fun to see him return to that.
Yeah.
So I'll give the Salamiri that.
He's the farm boy again.
Yeah.
I wonder if his like budding force powers came into play in those like interstitial. What was it, 4 years?
2 or 3, something like that. I think it's 3. Yeah.
Yeah. That I mean, new canon being what it is, like it's a little bit harder to imagine, but like him being like almost like the son of a legend in that time, like nobody knew what force stuff was.
Yeah.
That it was all just like whisperings and whatnot. It was like
it's all hokey religions.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like people just come up to you and are like, I heard Jedi could do this. Have you ever tried doing that? And they're like, oh, I didn't know. Like, let me try and do that stuff. And like, just.
Yeah, there's somebody walking up to him on the street and be like, hey, make me fly. Yeah.
I imagine the rebels pulling all kinds of tricks on Luke.
He's not very like worldly either, so that would work in two ways.
Yeah.
It's like, quick, grab a lizard and then throw something at him.
How many fingers do I have up behind my back? Yeah.
Actually, this last week I made a joke about do you think Luke has ever seen a vacuum? Do you think with his ability of the Force, do you think he's kind of got complacent with his powers? Do you think he does things unnecessarily with the Force?
Like household chores and things.
Yeah, do you think he doesn't feel like throwing away something in the trash can?
I mean, I would. I totally
Yeah, I would. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. I would. I could be like putting the dishes away right now. Just sitting from my chair.
Uh-huh.
I totally would do that.
Yeah, no. I was like, I would totally do that.
I gotta watch season 2 of The Mandalorian. And I guess I gotta ignore Boba Fett or something like that.
Yes, apparently you have to watch the last three, of the Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, the last 3 episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is a shame. Because...
We're off topic. I love Timothy Oliphant.
Me too.
Oh, yeah. He was definitely good in that.
Yeah, he's great. So, what do you guys think of Frothly style haircut is?
I don't know. I don't know why. When I read that, I was like, it makes me hungry.
Is it like this? Is it like this?
Scott, this is an audio medium. You're gonna have to describe that for
Right.
listeners.
It's like this.
Scott's taking his shirt off and showing his chest hair for some reason.
Scott is wearing a shirt of Luke Skywalker, and his hair is flowing. And that is what he's trying to say.
Oh, is it?
It's his 1977 haircut. If that helps the audience at all.
But no, there's like that one henchman, Chin, and Luke mentions a Frothly style haircut. And I kind of imagine the current broccoli style haircut, to be honest.
Broccoli?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know the broccoli cut.
Broccoli?
Have you heard of this?
Like the vegetables?
Let me find an image.
I don't know if this is a calf-esque thing where it's like, oh, it's Star Wars, or if this is a 90 reference that I'm forgetting.
So the broccoli haircut is like clipped sides with perm, like a perm at the top. So it's got curly hair at the top, and the sides are shaved.
Guys, we're all wrong. Frothlies are a species in Star Wars.
Oh, okay. So we have no clue then.
So it's like their style of haircut, I guess.
So then what is a Frothly haircut?
Yeah.
So what I had in mind was that frothy.
Frothly. Broccoli with an F.
I had like a cappuccino in mind, like the froth of a cappuccino, so it would be like
right,
and a bit fluffy and like straight up.
But this says prominent hair spurs.
Prominent hair spurs.
What are hair spurs? What is that?
Isn't it obvious, Tim?
I'm guessing a little like what's a spur?
I like how there's no images for this.
No, there aren't. I have no clue what this is.
A device with a small spike or spiked wheel that is worn on a rider's heel.
Oh, the spur? Yeah, like a heel spur?
No,
Oh,
So they just have like star shapes all over their head?
Well, I'm guessing it's a little bit like a porcupine. That's got those kind of like spines, kind
It's
of
like a hedgehog. Or an echidna for the Australians.
Yeah.
Is it kind of supposed to be like that punk style where it's like, choo, 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 like the guy from the Butterfly Effect?
Like a spiked mohawk or something.
Yeah, is that what they're trying to get us?
Yes. Man, I feel like you just can't drop terms like that when we don't understand.
Yeah. I mean, like, salamander was good because, like, it makes you think of a salamander. And I feel like there's been a few other ones that kind of, like, it evokes a certain feeling that you're kind of like, oh, I can kind of picture that.
This one says nothing.
But, yeah, apart from, like, the froth of a cappuccino or something, that's the only image that I had.
Or broccoli.
What do they call it? The flow top? Is it flow top is the...
Nah, it's the broccoli cut.
No. The float top, is that the style that was popular with black people in the 90s?
What's it? I'm not familiar with
Flat
this.
top?
A flat top.
Flat top. Oh, yeah, I've heard that one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I imagine that it would be like a flat top, but it's kind of got some sort of highlights or something to make it look like a cappuccino. And when they look down, you can see the cappuccino art at the top of their head.
Hey. Scott, what do you imagine?
We have broccoli cappuccino punk hairstyle.
Yeah. What does frothly hairstyle say to you, Scott?
And don't worry, if people who are listening to this, we're going to each put a personal image of what we think the hair looks like into the
A frothy style haircut. I'm thinking maybe like I don't know, like Marge Simpson.
Hey. Nice. That's a good one. So I just kind of like fixated on that and was like, what?
Yeah. I mean, that's an issue that I have with some of the new canon books as well, is like mentioning things that don't have a very clear image to them unless you want to sit with a book and the Wikipedia page open at the same time.
Maybe Star Wars just isn't meant to be books.
Maybe I wonder we just missed it. What this isn't the first Star Wars book. What if Frothlys have been very well documented and we're just not paying attention?
We're just bad Star Wars fans.
Well, I'm very glad to say that the Wikipedia article is, confirms that that's not the case.
Yeah, that's fair.
So there was one thing Talon Karrde said that I really liked. It reminded me of something Stuart brought up like way back in his first chapter, where he mentioned like the value of secrets in this and like trading secrets. And that just reminded me of when you were talking about the value of non-monetary things and how Karrde seems to have an appreciation for that.
I do feel like he's a little bit like controlling. I feel like he has his finger in a lot of honeypots.
Whoa, his fingers in a lot of honeypots.
What is the right saying?
It doesn't seem very sanitary.
But like, he seems like a little bit of a micromanager almost, and I feel like he has to do that in order to account for what his secrets are, how much are they worth to other people, and yeah, that we're a family here, but I am also the godfather kind of feeling I get from that.
Yeah, he is a small business owner.
Yeah. There's one thing I wanted to talk about was Luke realizes when he's talking to Karrde, he's like, "Oh, you had to sell Mary on the ship when you captured, basically when you captured me." And Karrde was like, "Oh yes, that was purely by chance." And he looks over at Marge and he's like, "Well, perhaps not." So I'm getting so many different mixed messages, but I'm starting to hint towards him having a better idea
of who she actually was.
Of her potential past.
Yeah, I did notice it was a bit weird how he said that she like told us to stop here and you were there, basically.
She pulled him out of hyperspace.
Yeah.
Was it like a routine thing? It's something that it's possibly a perchance thing, or is it like, yeah, no, it was a little bit unusual that she requested that we do this, but it's like, yeah, okay, we'll stop. Because Karrde has his suspicions about what kind of connection she has to luck. Secrets of that magnitude are worth a great deal of money. Do you have anything of equal trade to trade? And Luke saying, just put it on the bill. Karrde points out, you're very generous with other people's money.
Yeah.
Like, oh, well, we can double whatever they're offering you.
You don't even know what they're offering.
Yeah, it just happens to be 30,000, and he's like, "Oh, I didn't know it was that valuable." Sure, after the fact.
Yeah, and how does he not know that he is the most valuable person in the galaxy? He is the only candidate for the new space pope, and he is the last of the Jedi. Like, of course, people want to kill him from the Imperial side, and the people want to venerate him on the Republic side, and then anybody in between just wants to find. There is enormous value placed on his head. Just by
I think he assumes that Leia is more valuable.
Oh,
I mean,
I didn't consider that.
Maybe.
Yeah, no, I can see that because she's another space pope candidate.
Right,
she is,
and she's carrying two potential space pope candidates.
Yeah, two young popes.
Right, but he's the incumbent space pope at the moment.
I mean, Leia's the face of the leaders right now, clearly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's. I feel like most people would want her more. It feels like Luke right now is just kind of the person who goes out and does the dirty work when they need him to.
Right.
Because he's not there for the. He's not interested in the political stuff. That's not why he's here.
Yeah.
He's a glorified hitman.
Is he a glorified hitman at this point?
I mean, basically, he stepped out of the military, right?
Maybe that's why Mara Jade hates him.
Speaking of which, I found the part where Karrde mentions how they found him. He said, we were simply returning from a cargo pickup when Mara dropped us out of hyperspace on the spur of the moment to do a nav reading.
A spur? What's a spur?
How does that become a haircut?
On a frothy hairstyle of the moment.
Right.
A+ callback.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just seems convenient. What does this chapter make you excited for?
Oh.
That is such a good question.
I'm excited to find out more about Mara Jade's past and hopefully find out why she hates Luke so much.
Hopefully.
And I'm also excited to see if Karrde knows about her past.
For me, I feel like the excitement comes from the tension of what they're going to do with Luke at this point. Like I really like Luke's he's wearing as much plot armor as he can. So
Yeah.
I don't really feel like there's much danger there. So I'm actually really curious about like how is Karrde going to operate, or how is he going to make his decision from this point?
The same. That's how I feel too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm most interested in what Karrde is going to do.
Yeah. What about you, Kyle? What do you feel excited for by this chapter?
Yeah, I do want to find out more information. I just see what exactly they're planning to do with him, because no one seems 100% sure what they're doing with him.
She's going to feed him the lizards.
It is fascinating, and Mara Jade seems to be pushing what is being done a lot. She's making stops happen. She's like making sure things are going down. She's watching him, Luke, sleep, and absolutely despises him, but just won't just kill him.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
She could have done it easily at this point,
Yeah.
but hasn't for some reason.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing. Because like she even threatens that like you make one wrong move and I'm just going to put a blaster in your face. And
It's like, really?
yeah, go ahead and try, jump out the window. Like,
Yeah.
I'm okay, thanks.
Yeah. I did really like the little insult she threw out about Mon Mothma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, not without Luke and Leia or whatever to hold her hand or whatever.
Hold that
Yeah,
hand.
to hold Mon Mothma's hand. Yeah. I thought that was a fun bit of characterization.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But interesting to see what how she's been characterized from like an Imperial standpoint of like,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
she was an Imperial senator that defected, and people think that she's not very competent, and she's only had success because other military positions have been holding it. And I guess that's a way to delegitimize the government as well, because they are only a bunch of brutes that came in and blew up the government and killed millions of people, and they just want to make a new military junta that's controlling the galaxy because their politicians is just a airy fairy little lady that can't run anything.
Yeah, because after all, the New Republic is just the lesser of two evils to most of the people out there.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yep.
All right, anything else from anybody?
I like finally seeing stuff with Karrde.
Yeah.
I think he's a great character.
Yeah.
I was a bit worried he wouldn't be able to separate himself from Lando and Han, but I feel like this chapter really solidified him as a pretty unique presence.
Yeah,
I'm feeling kind of a happy medium.
I feel more like, Lando is like charming, so Lando has heart, and Talon is still very inviting and charming, but he's more cold about how he sees things.
Yeah, he feels like he uses his charm to strategically, you know.
Yeah. Like, Lando makes friendships, and Karrde uses relationships.
Mhm.
Yeah. Ooh, nice.
Mhm.
Yeah. I like him quite a bit. And I'm looking forward to him actually participating in the story now.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what I don't think. I think in the next chapter we're probably going to be going back to Han and Lando, but I'm excited to see what we come back to in this.
Yeah, it'll be about time for them to re-enter the story.
All right.
On you,
This has been The Lost Holocron. You can find transcripts, links to discussions, and more at our website, lostholocron.com. While you are there, you can learn how you can support the creation of future episodes. Read on, and we'll be waiting for you in the next transmission. We would be honored if you would join us.